Hey guys, this is part 2 of the problem group story. I'll leave a info card to the first part at the top right. Hi everyone, here is part 2 of this RPG horror story I had to deal with. Things start to spiral from here, getting more chaotic and tense. This part has a few mature themes, such as sex. We left off the session with my character acquiring a new amulet, and keeping it a secret from the rest of the party because they would have taken it. I attempted to attune to it, and it worked. I learned that it was an amulet that could prevent detection spells from seeing me, such as crying. Our party got back to town, and we found that my room was completely trashed. My character was apparently being hunted down by a group of powerful adventurers who wanted to know why I have a gun. I'm a gunslinger in a world where guns are relatively new. Everyone freaked out and went separate ways in town, trying to avoid a large group being seen together. My character ended up being cornered, and was brought into a shady tavern with nobody else there. Out of character, I was actually excited. It was finally a chance to roleplay in a group that had been relatively light on roleplay, and I could finally delve into my character's past a bit. However, things went wrong pretty quickly, as I was ushered into the tavern. Kane loudly states,
I was following Torsad. Can I enter the tavern too?
He hadn't mentioned before that he was following me, but also never mentioned where he was, so the DM allowed it hesitantly. Well, this roleplay started where my character had to explain where he had got the gun, and how he was using it for good. They knew about my character's sketchy history, so they interrogated me about it. I told them the truth, that I was a criminal and had done some pretty shifty things in the past. But I was changing and becoming a better person. Soon, after the roleplay ends, and my character is free to leave the tavern, I do. And Kane says to me smugly out of character,
I've got so much dirt on you now.
I rolled my eyes and ignored it, trying to have fun with the group and not let him bring me down. I had a conversation with Meryl, and she noticed the new amulet across my neck. I told her how it doesn't allow people to scry on me, and went to take it off, but I couldn't. It was a cursed item. We both panicked, and talked to our party's other healer, Kate, and asked if she could remove the curse. She told us that she couldn't, and took me to her temple to get it removed. Well, while I was gone, Meryl had decided to cast Detect Magic on 2 crystals that she had found, as she had just gotten access to the spell. They were extremely powerful magic items. Powerful enough that she was blinded for 2 weeks. When we arrived, the party was finally given the main story plot. These crystals were called Heartstones, and they basically powered the world. If they were destroyed, the world would blow up, or something. We had to reunite all 6 of them and do something. We still weren't clear on what we had to do. Well, the party had gotten wind that there was a crystal in a Hydra's lair in some far-off town. I'm going to call it Ravenloft. The boat was set to depart in 2 weeks, so we had some downtime. This is where things got crazy. Demi, the goblin wizard murder hobo, tackled a guard in the street for making an offhand remark about goblins. More of the town guard intervened, and it eventually looped in Kyle as they were killing guards and destroying the town. Everyone at the table was shocked, because we didn't expect this behavior, and it honestly felt super childish. Demi managed to escape town, but Kyle was thrown in jail. And that's where we ended the session, because I could tell the DM had no idea how to react to that. The next session began with me paying Kyle's bail, and Kyle would continue to make remarks that he was raped, joking about it, even going into vivid detail, which was uncalled for. Out of character, I don't want to share too much of my own personal history, but this struck a chord. I asked Kyle to stop, but everyone laughed it off and kept making jokes about it. Obviously uncomfortable, I decided not to participate much that session. Well, we finally got to the day where the boat arrived. But there was one issue. Demi's character was still not back in town, and Demi herself was not present at the session because of a conflict. We decided to leave her a note at her house, telling her that we are going to Ravenloft and move on towards the town. During this boat ride, my character was still ruminating about how he wants to be a better person, and he decided to pray to the Changebringer, a god about whims and always changing tides. He decided that he should be a positive force, not a negative one, and he decided to always help others out. We arrive at the town of Ravenloft, which is an extremely small fishing town. The denizens seem to be struggling, a lot of them looking starved. We speak to the townmaster, who tells us that they're mainly a fishing town, but have had really bad luck recently. For some reason, all the boats that are being sent out are being destroyed, and they can't get any fish in. The townmaster says, "I can't offer much, but would a 1,000 gold reward do?" Everyone flipped out, saying it was more than enough and how they wanted the payment now. I pulled them aside and said, "Guys, this town is dirt poor and starving. We can't accept this gold. It should go to this town so they can have a good life." I was ignored completely, with Kane making a comment about how I'm just a do-gooder and need to let others hurt for a chance. This was coming from a lawful, good cleric. We then proceeded to consult the townmaster, telling him that we'd accept. As he went inside to grab the proper documentation, I asked if I could speak with him privately. I told him he doesn't need to give us this money, and that it would be better spent on the dying town. As we were discussing, Meryl barges into the roleplay saying,
Yeah, but how about 500 gold?
I tried to tell her that she wasn't in the room, but she didn't care. Something important I forgot to add about this table is that there is a constant side conversation. Combat drags on because they don't pay attention, and in roleplay scenarios, like this one, they're too busy chatting about sex jokes or other things to care. And they jump in the roleplay when they choose, not caring if they're actually there or not. I ignored it all and got the documentation, and we were leased a boat to use to investigate. We went out to the lake, and as we did, we could see the silhouette of a large giant beast. The party was split, half wanting to go back to town to grab the proper equipment, such as water-breathing potions, while the other half, which consisted of myself and a few others, wanted to pursue the creature because other, smaller ships were out there and at risk of being destroyed. This started a huge argument, stemming from a comment Belle made. She said,
Well, we're not even getting paid for this, so why would we do it?
A lot of us said it was the right thing to do, while others agreed and said it was bullcrap. I finally had to say, Guys, nobody was in the room when I spoke to him. Last we left off, he said he was thinking about it. Wouldn't it look better for us if we came back with the creature's head? How would it look if we go back asking for potions to get the job done? We should be able to do ourselves. That caused the arguments to simmer down, back into a peaceful conversation. This was also at the same time where Belle realized that she could choose water breathing as a spell, so we agreed we would go at first dawn. We arrived back at town, and we went to this giant tavern, which looked like it was bustling. An oddity in a town as depraved as this one was. We entered, and it was basically your stereotype of Las Vegas. You had half-dressed men and women dancing on poles, countless dice games, and tons of alcohol. Essentially, bait for chaotic teens. And this is where the night got a little weird. Kane, Belle, and Meryl all ordered hookers and spent the night with them. Belle and Meryl also hinted at those two together. We all laughed it off, being young, dumb teenagers. I made an offhand remark saying,
It would be so stupid if there was a D&D guide on having sex and games.
And I looked it up, jokingly. I found a guide, and it was much more than I was expecting. I tried to shut it down, but Kane immediately jumped on it, finding it for himself online and reading it aloud. Our DM David had us roll on the table for sexuality, as well as genital size. He's more than 22 years older than me, and I'm the oldest in the group. Needless to say, a few of us were uncomfortable. Kane kept pushing it, however, seriously asking if he could have a +1 dildo sword or a certain kind of ring of luck. Yeah, those types of items. Luckily, we were towards the end of the night, and we decided to wrap it up there. I texted Demi in our group chat at the rundown of what had happened, and she was so angry.
You left me there by myself? Why would you just ditch me?
We tried to explain to her that she was outlawed from the town, and we gave her a note if she managed to find her way back to her home. But she didn't listen.
My character wouldn't even leave anyway because I got stuff to do here. It's time for my story arc.
We were all shocked by what she was saying. So we let David handle it. David responded,
I'm the DM, not you. It's up to me to decide when your character arcs happen, and not you. Call me.
And that was the end of the situation. Next session rolled around, and the party woke up to some beautiful music being played. It was Demi's new character, a homebrew cat bard. The party, like before, immediately welcomed her in, saying her playing was beautiful and she could definitely join our group. I asked if she could handle herself in combat, and she responds,
Yeah, better than you can, jerk.
So, like before, I left it and said nothing to ignite the fire. The party went on back by boat to the lake, and then we all sunk into the water. We managed to find this giant, open cave with treasure everywhere, and guarding it was a Hydra. We all rolled initiative, and combat ensued. Now, I don't know what you know about Hydras stat-wise, but they do not have resistant to non-magical weapons. This one had immunity. Now, I'm not going to harp on the DM, it's his boss battle and that's okay, but I had absolutely nothing to do in that fight. Everyone there has spellcasting capabilities, or magic weapons. The only magical weapon I had was a small +1 dagger. I knew that I couldn't do anything, and I wanted to help my party out, so I went through the treasure looking for wands or any weapons that looked magical. This, as it turns out, garnered a lot of crap from my party. Belle and Meryl screamed at me, literally screamed at me, to stop being a greedy jerk and start fighting. Even though I told them both, in and out of character, that I couldn't do anything, and I told them my plan. That didn't matter to them. It eventually got to the point where Demi said,
Well, if you can't do anything, go home. You're literally useless.
And that hurt. A lot. I finally decided I would take my +1 dagger and attack the thing. So I ran up there and just started stabbing. And as I attacked, I got so much flack from the group, they were saying things like,
Oh crap, I was going to cast this, but Torsad had to move right here.
or,
God dang it, Torsad, get out of the way.
when I was in melee with it. When combat ended, I was given a ton of flack. The party, both in and out of character, were yelling at me for my actions, saying I was greedy and a jerk. The DM just watched. I said nothing, honestly about to cry, and the session ended as we were on our way back to town. At this point, you're probably all thinking, why is this guy still staying? And to be honest, I had extremely low self-esteem, and my depression was high. This group was, in my eyes, the first official D&D group I got to be a part of, so I wanted to stay with them. I thought they would say these things as jokes, not things to be taken seriously. This was, however, the point where I stopped having fun with this group, and I walked away from every session dissatisfied with a bad taste in my mouth. But I decided to just push through it, and hoped things would change. The next session I was unable to attend, because I was going down to my dream college for a few meet and greets. By the time the session started, I was in the car, heading back home. I sent a message to our Discord saying, Hey, I'm on my way back now. Can I video call and play? 2 hours went by, and then Demi responded in chat.
LOL, screw you.
I was hurt by this, as I felt directly excluded from the group. But I said to myself that it wouldn't matter because they could fill me in when I got to the session later. I end up arriving and get the
Oh hey, I saw your text but I meant to respond, but I guess I forgot to.
Apology from David, and get filled in on what happened. Apparently the town of Ravenloft burned because of a character we dubbed the Reaper is chasing us for the crystals. And we found a journal in the Hydra's lair that described where the next one was, which was in a blue dragon's hoard. So we were running away and also trying to find a blue dragon. We finally found the dragon, and we all agreed beforehand not to go into combat, unless we have to. This thing was ancient and could wipe us out pretty easily. So we go in, and I try to persuade it. And I'm in the middle of asking where it got to the Hearthstone when Demi says,
I cast Vicious Mockery.
We all look at her in disbelief, and she goes,
What? This is boring.
And we rolled initiative. The combat took an entire session, with all of us being freaked out over how intense this was. I just focused on shooting and killing the dragon, letting everyone else worry about loot. Due to some great rolls on our end and bad on the dragons, we actually managed to defeat it without any party members dying. Kane and Belle immediately block me, while the rest of the party go to loot. They all divide the gold amongst themselves, as well as loot. I get nothing from the fight. I was very upset with them, but I still held my tongue. Meryl, our artificer, also utilized this outside source called Hamun's Harvester, an interesting third-party source which allows character to harvest vital parts of creatures once they're dead. This would take up huge parts of our sessions, as she had to harvest everything, and that process took about 5 minutes per monster. David decided to push her harvesting things till after the session, and since I have to give her and Bill a ride home, since she doesn't have a car and David guilt-tripped me into taking her home, I'm stuck waiting about an hour after the session, meaning I don't get home till after midnight. I also pick her and Bill up every day of the session, so I'm essentially their taxicab. Since the session was ending, David had her do her harvesting things, and when she cuts up the body, he describes that a green mist slowly fills the entire space around our party, and we ended the session there. The next session began 2 weeks later, and we discovered that inside the body was a deck of many things. As a DM, I knew exactly what he was doing. He had told me before he would never introduce the deck into a game, as it throws everything into chaos. Kane had identified it, and made extra sure that I didn't get my hands on it. Well, making sure that nobody got their hands on it, because he kept all the cards. Demi managed to steal the cards away in a contested grapple check. They grabbed the cards and pulled out a 3, and she managed to get some pretty cool stuff. I knew all of this wasn't going to be permanent, so I thought, why not? And I pull out a card. I got balance, which means my alignment goes from chaotic neutral to lawful neutral. Just then, our BBEG Reaper appeared magically. Kane, Belle, and Meryl said they were going to run, and Kyle was killed pretty instantly, leaving me, Demi, and Kate all to fight him. I looked at the DM and pulled out 2 more cards. One was Wish, and the other was the one where your soul gets trapped on a demi-plane. So now I was gone. Demi pulled and got the same thing, meaning she was gone. Then David says we all wake up, and it was a dream. For whatever reason, Kyle said something really stupid. I can't remember what he said, but he tends to act before he thinks. Demi just snapped on him, saying,
Kyle, how about you just shut the heck up for once, because nobody wants to hear you speak.
And David instantly shut it down, telling everyone to pack up their stuff because we aren't going to play D&D today. He says that he's noticed a lot of tension in the group, and that they're going to address what is going on. So everyone got to go around and say what was on their mind. A lot of what they said was mentioned here. Kyle does whatever he wants with no regards to consequences. Demi is just in it for the combat, which she agreed. Meryl talks over everyone and doesn't let people get a chance to speak, and Belle needs to be more considerate of what she says to others. Then they all got to me. When they discussed what they feel that I do wrong, It went from a discussion to more of an attack. While you may think that this is a biased report, Kate and I had a conversation after the session saying that she could totally tell things were hostile. Kane outright said,
I don't like you because your character is a thief, a criminal, and a jerk.
I even said to Kane after that he has to differentiate between me and my character, because I have treated him with nothing but respect, and he has been constantly treating me like crap. I apologized for stealing the amulet back from him, and I told him that I hope we can move forward from this. I got a
Yeah, right.
and an eye roll from him. We all then had to talk about what we liked about one another's character. Yeah, it got this bad. And those comments were a little more stale, and were easy to tell it was fake. I was actually genuine with mine, and when I had a chance to speak, I told the group how I felt. I said that I felt really mistreated and bullied, and I have explained my actions time and time again to all of them and apologized for making them think I was just trying to loot. And I felt that they were hearing me but not listening. To that, I didn't actually get a response, and everyone was kinda quiet. After a bit of more discussion, things ended, and I walked away from the table thinking that things were going to improve with our group. I was 100% wrong. Things would continue to get worse. Well, if you've gotten this far, thank you. Sorry for the super long part, but it kinda makes sense to me to type the whole thing out, since all of it was following the same strand of the conflict. I got a few more comments and messages asking me that if this was all my point of view, and it actually isn't. Kay and I became really good friends outside of the group, and she would tell me what was happening, and help me write down some of this. This post spanned about 2 or 3 months, and the third post should span about 3 or 4 months, but won't be as long as this one. Well guys, something I can say immediately, and something that has seemingly been a trend in a lot of these stories. Don't say in a game, even if it's your first one, if you have a bad group and depression issues, because a bad D&D group is definitely not better than no D&D group. The only thing that's going to happen there is it's going to make your depression worse. Another thing being, if you have a group like this and they aren't paying attention to you, bring it up. If they don't try to rectify any sort of issues that you're having at all, even a small attempt at it by the DM or anyone else, maybe you should think about leaving. Much like the OP had said in their own story, I definitely thought, why would this person still be there still, after all of this going on? It's not just one person acting like a childish jerk, but a small handful of them, as well as the DM starting to go the way of a lot of the really weird, creepy DMs. Altogether, this could not have been a very enjoyable experience, and frankly, just narrating it has even gotten me annoyed. But in any case, guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have a story that you'd like me to narrate, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a good one.